What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers and Dan Hurley have officially met. They worked out all of the ins and outs, all the little details. What do you want? Here's what we want. What's your vision? Here's our vision. And now Dan Hurley is going home to kind of mull over and evaluate what does he want to do, right? Now, there is rumors going around that it's basically a 50-50 chance that he comes, that basically it's his job to lose, right? If he wants it, it's his. If he passes on it, it's JJ Redick, right? So there are a lot of people that are like, hey, JJ Redick's still the most likely candidate, but Dan Hurley wants the job. It's his job. There's also rumors going around that the Lakers offered him somewhere in the 8-year, $100 million range, which I do think makes a lot of sense. The Lakers want to bring him in to establish his program, right? Basically what he's doing in UConn, we want you to basically come here to the Lakers, do the exact same thing. Because of the new CBA, it makes things so much more difficult that you constantly need to be developing guys and you constantly need to be having this influx of new talent. Kind of like the college program, where every year you kind of get this new wave of talent. Lakers need to kind of do the same thing. It's kind of the model in which the Lakers are going to have to follow. Now, the Lakers are always going to try to get that other star, right? This doesn't mean that they're not going to land a Donovan Mitchell or a Trey or anything like that if they can, but the idea is all of the other pieces, right? The 7 through 12 or 7 through 15, like those are the guys that they need to kind of have that influx and fresh talent, guys to develop. The Lakers believe Dan Hurley can really kind of elevate Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, right? Like put these guys in better position, right? Darvin Ham, one of his big problems was just the lack of developing these guys, properly putting these guys in position to have the most success. It's looked at as Dan Hurley's going to be able to do that. I mean, he's had a ton of success in college, right? And for the talent, don't get me wrong, he has excellent talent. But compared to some of these other programs and how he has been able to win to the level in which he's been able to win, he has absolutely overachieved. And he has turned guys that were looked at as like, they're not even going to get playing time to all of a sudden being key roster rotation pieces or even starting level guys. The idea for the Lakers is to implement that same system where he's growing and developing guys. Guy is an absolute tactician. The guy is excellent with key in-game adjustments and post-game adjustments, right? Like the game-to-game type thing, which especially it would be huge come playoff time. This is a guy that is looked at as just like a very passionate, no-nonsense, right? There's like a video going around of him like, closing my huddle, right? He's looked at as a guy that he's not going to take no nonsense. He's notorious for his practices. I mean, his practices are some of the most tough and grueling that there are. There are a lot of pros, but there are also a lot of cons, right? And the biggest thing, we'll get into some of the cons as far as translation to the NBA, but one of the biggest concerns about him not taking the job is he's walking away from a lot, right? He has an opportunity here to make history and go down as one of the greatest coaches in NBA history, NCAA history, if he three-peats. I mean, a three-peat hasn't happened in 50 years, maybe longer, right? Like, it's been a long time since a team has actually won 3 straight national championships, and they are primed and ready to go. They have the talent, they have the roster, they're very likely going to be one of the favorites to do so. So, does he want to walk away from making history? Yes, he wants to be a head coach, but it's not like the Lakers are the only option, right? Like, if he spends another year or two in college and then decides, hey, I'm ready to make that jump into the NBA, he's going to have a plethora of teams that are willing to sign him up and bring him in. So it's not like, if the Lakers, if he turns down the Lakers job, that's it, right? And he has talked about he wants to make the leap to the NBA. That's what a lot of people are hanging their head on. Like, this is his opportunity. He's talked about how he wants to be a coach in the NBA. Yes, but again, he has also talked about he wants to do it when he feels he's ready. He wants to do it when he feels he's done all he could do in the NCAA level and has matured enough to make that step to the NBA level. Does he believe he's done that yet? Right? Now, finances, right? So a big theme that's kind of going around is that Dan is using this as a leverage play for UConn. That there's a deal on the table that UConn would make him the 3rd highest paid coach in the NCAA. He doesn't want that. He wants more money. And by using the Lakers as leverage, now he can go and get more money from UConn. Is that really the case? I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. Because if he ends up saying no to the Lakers job and then UConn gives him an absolute bag, well, then you got your answer. It was a leverage play all along. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes. However, Dan has turned down and is known to turn down more money and other opportunities to stay where he's happy and comfortable. So the Lakers throwing a bag at him doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to just make that jump, make that leap to going and being the Lakers. I also imagine that he's going to want control, right? He's going to want, because that's the thing. In college, he is the judge, jury, and executioner, right? Like, he gets to do everything in the NCAA. Does he get to do that as far as, like, the NBA standard goes? Do the Lakers basically say, yeah, you get to, you control the roster, you control you get, final say, right? Hey, we got this guy. Which guy do you want? This guy? Okay, we'll go get that guy, right? Like, that type of thing. You got to imagine that there's some power. Now, as far as some cons from the basketball standpoint, again, he is a gamble, right? A lot of people think he's going to be a surefire thing. He may be. Who knows, right? You don't know. It's just like any of these guys, even JJ Redick. We don't know what he could be. Terrible, he could be great. We have seen a lot of college coaches make the jump to the NBA and be terrible. Even the ones that have had some success still haven't had the success in which the Lakers are looking to have with him. Now, his philosophy, his culture, his program, him and his offensive schemes in particular are all NBA made, right? So they are all things that should translate well to the NBA. Here's the other big thing I don't see a lot of people talking about. Dan is a guy that loves to take his time. He's not a guy that's very likely going to come in and immediately change everything. I mean, even with UConn, it took him like 4 or 5 years to really get to that stride, right? This is a guy that usually takes several years to really establish and set in place what he wants to set in place. So the idea of him coming in and all of a sudden we're game busters and we're taking over the league is not very likely just on Dan's track record and history, right? Again, go look at his resume. Go look at like how long it takes for him. He likes to, really kind of carve out and do things the right way rather than let's go. Which, if we were a young team in the process of developing, that's fine. But we're not that team. We're a team that has LeBron James. We're a team that has Anthony Davis, right? Like, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the best fit if that happens. Also, again, with Dan and his notorious practices and how hard he is on guys, everybody, 1 through, 20 or whatever, like, is LeBron going to buy into that? Right? Is LeBron going to be doing bleachers and stuff like that? Or is he going to change some of his philosophies to match, right? Again, there's going to be these adjustments. There's going to be these little gives and takes. How do those work? How do those translate? Now, from like the positive side of things, again, I really like Dan. I think the Lakers are in a win-win situation, personally. Because I think if you get Dan, beautiful, let's go. Right? But I also think that that's going to be a complete culture shift for the Lakers. The Lakers are going to be a completely different team than we've ever seen them be in the history of their existence, right? Because that's the idea of Dan. You're bringing him in to basically change the philosophies and the culture of the Lakers. We're implementing this, right? This is the new age. This is the new wave because of the new CBA, right? So, okay, that's fine. I think if he doesn't take the job, then you got JJ Redick, and you can kind of just stay the path that you've always gone, but he can kind of implement and do a lot of the same things. We'll see how that plays out, right? But I think either way, you're getting the most upside. I think Dan and JJ, right, I think both give you the most upside as far as coaching goes, right? Again, I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I'm just saying, like, as far as the upside, as far as the gamble, I think those are the two guys that give you the best gamble, right? So I think it's a win-win either way for the Lakers if Dan says no and they end up landing JJ. However, I think Dan does make the most sense given the position that they're in right now. I do have my concerns about how he translates to the NBA level, and is he going to be able to because again, there's a lot more that goes into head coaching than just the basketball on-court things. Than him just making little adjustments and changes and calling timeouts and running plays and stuff. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that he's going to have to manage and deal with. Now, I think LeBron buys into either. Seeing a lot of people like, oh, this means LeBron's gone. Absolutely not. To me, this would signal even more LeBron stays. Right now, I do have concerns about LeBron doing some of the things that Dan usually asks of his players. But LeBron has hyped up Dan more than we've seen him hype up anybody in a long time. I mean, even him and JJ Redick have talked about it. JJ Redick had Dan on his podcast. These are guys that, like the Lakers really value, right? So I don't see this as like a sign that LeBron's leaving. I think this is more of a sign that LeBron stays. But again, who knows? Time will tell. Now, I do think, again, I do think he has the offensive philosophies, and he is very creative on the offensive side, more so than anybody we have seen in a very long time. He is really good at just kind of getting guys and basically maximizing guys to their best advantages. So I think he's going to do an excellent job in that regard of like really maximizing whoever's on this roster. He's a guy that's not afraid to play a guy, right? Like, a Max Christie, for example. We saw moments this year where he was excellent, and then like he just couldn't get any playing time. Like some of our best units were with Max Christie. I don't see that happening with him. The development side of things, that's huge. I do agree that Austin Reeves, Max Christie, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, Maxwell Lewis, Jalen Hood-Schifino, all of these guys, whoever we draft in this year's draft, all of these guys I think will greatly benefit from having a guy in Dan that is known, and he's going to implement and put his guys around and have his development guys and all that stuff. I do think that if everything works, the Lakers, maybe not right away, but I think they'll be the new standard. Like genuinely. I think that they have the potential to be the new standard. Again, how long does it take to get to that point is the question. Will it come out and be immediate? I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. But there is a lot that goes into it. I do think that there are pros and cons with Dan. But I do think if you can get Dan, you have to get him. I do. I just think you have to. Like if realistically he says yes, I think even if he's like, okay, I want 10 years, 150 million, I think you do it. Whatever it is, you go get Dan. You have to get him, right? Because I just think he's the culture shock that you need to really kind of right the ship and get things back in line and back in order. But we'll see. Time will tell. Again, I think we'll have our answer by like Monday or Tuesday. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of Dan Hurley? Do you think no, stay away from him? Do you think you go JJ? Do you think like no, you got to go with Dan? Whoever it is, however you feel, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.